So here we are now on a much more larger scale street. We're not far from Sant'Antoni, where we were earlier. But what street are we on now, Adrian? And why is this different than the other place?
Yeah, so here we are in Gran Via de los Corts Catalanes, which is one of the major streets crossing the neighborhood of Eixample. And it's one of the main penetration roads or access into the city, and which really creates a contrast with what we have seen in San Antoni, and makes this area actually very, very car oriented.
Yeah, I can see there's 5 lanes of motor vehicle traffic. At the same time, it is a boulevard, so we do see there are places to walk and cycle, but it's loud. It's quite, you get a different feel of the street. It's not for staying, it's for moving, right?
Exactly. It's a street which, although now it has been refurbished, you can see that you have a promenade in the middle. Is still the main purpose of this street is for car traffic to flow into the city or to even cross the city, which makes it very loud, not very, very nice in the end, although you can see some quite good quality public space here now, and a good example of actually what Barcelona is as well. Okay,
yeah.
It is also a car-oriented city.
Now let's take a quick walk around and show you all some more UX principles on this car-oriented street. On this intersection of the street, we see here some signs. This is an example for people driving the car, signposts and cues. They can orient to whatever destination they need to get to that is nearby. This also provides quite a strong information sense. And by that I mean it really is an area, it's quite loud. Because of these 5 lanes of motor vehicle traffic, you know this is a place, it's going to be a busy place. You need to be moving. This is sort of a very different use of the street than we had in the more human-scaled, smaller part that we saw earlier in the course. We can see here, this part of the street is a 1-lane part of the street, with 1 lane also for people cycling. With the larger 5-lane part in the middle, this creates some sort of a hierarchy. However, this part in the middle is 5 lanes, 1 way for car traffic, that it makes it very difficult to cross. So you have this sort of contrasting part of a hierarchy for different types of users, but also a barrier of the street for the rest of the neighborhood. For people cycling, you can see there's some changes going on here. On some boulevards in the city, this central walking area is also a place for cycling. You can see there's a black line here that's sort of blurred out. Now, cyclists here are meant to be on a different parts on the road. This frees up space for people walking, but comparing it to other places in the city, and when you have to change along as a cyclist, it's confusing when you want to go on your route. So that's an example of not being very consistent for people cycling. On this part of the street, we have 2 interesting user experience principles to talk to you about. The first is limiting distractions. On a lively boulevard like this, it's logical there's going to be lots of distractions. That's not always a bad thing. But in this case, coming from the perspective of someone walking or cycling, it can create some stress to go through this intersection. You can see there's a lot going on, and especially when you're crossing this busy intersection of 2 different busy streets, it can be confusing as to what to do and how to cross. And a second principle we can also point out here is that of making actions reversible. So we can see that because these are 2 very large intersections, there are longer signal times, and it's harder to cross. So if you go the wrong way and you realize you need to turn around, you'll probably have to wait quite a while to come back the other way. So it's less flexible for people walking and cycling in that way.